Welcome back to another edition of Zero Blog 30. Today we have 5 rounds of the magazine. Round number 1, sailors made a big old stink about Walter Reid, and you're going to learn why the medical staff are saying it's where corpsmen go to die. Pretty extreme terms there.
Jeez.
This story, I got a bunch of DMs. I mentioned it briefly on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh, buddy, let me tell you some shit." So I got some tea. I'm excited about that one. Round number 2, Kate's beloved furry community is back in the news, and this time it isn't because the Michigan School Board thought the children were using litter box in the bathroom. No, they are actually doing something to combat cancel culture, which is pretty intense. I like that story. Round number 3, and a classic tale of fuck around and find out. A woman from Kansas was denied bail. Why? Because she led a squad of women ISIS fighters in Syria. I gotta say, sometimes we reapeth what we soweth. That's what the good book says. Round number 4, we are going to Channing Your Tatum a little bit. The star of the new movie Dog joins us to talk about working with Army Rangers and some of the stress that comes along with that. And it's going to be fun because God's got big time by a movie star. It's going to be great to talk about. And finally, round number 5, we have some military bugs. We promised it on last week's episode, and we deliver this week, telling you about how the DoD and others around the world will use fucking bugs. And all that's going to be brought to you by...
Not actually fucking bugs.
No, true. I was using it as a modifier there, not as a verb. Yeah. So, and all that's going to be brought to you by our good friends at Whistle Pig. Whistle Pig is the best canned cocktail in the biz. I mean that full. It's delicious. They have blackberry, they have mint, they have all kinds of stuff. Check it out by going to their website, which is what, Kate?
www.
That's right. Keep going. It's piggybackcraftcocktail.com, Kate. It's where they need to go. It's gonna be delicious. You're gonna love it. They have the fresh ginger lime, the blackberry lemon fizz, and the sesame citrus mint. They have all kinds of stuff. They have whiskey from basically they have like the pay chart, the DoD pay chart of prices. They have all the way down with the privates can afford it with the rice mashes, and then they have the boss hog, which is probably going down the gullets of some generals while they're doing nothing but causing gruff for the enlisted folks, like we're going to talk about in round number 1. But before we do that, I need to travel back because I was in New York last week. Back home,
you had some issues, yeah.
Fucking nightmare, man. Like I appreciate having the ability to have apps, to have email, to have all that stuff. But I was living in a world of fear on Friday night because I was worried my flight was going to get canceled. I got to the airport in Newark, and anybody who's like spent significant time in the greater New York area knows that going to any of the airports, it's always a pain in the ass. Like you always dread it, whether it's JFK, LaGuardia, or Newark. Like it doesn't matter. You hate going to the airport. I kid you not. My feet touched the inside of the little automatic door at Newark, and I got an alert on my phone that my flight was not just delayed, but it was canceled on Friday.
Yeah.
And it was bad traffic getting there. It took me about an hour and a half to get to the airport from there. Yeah, it was nuts. I have no idea why. It took me an hour and a half to get there. I was still going to be early. And so then I had to go back into the city. I had to get right back into an Uber and go all the way back home. Back to the city.
Get a hotel room again.
Contact like work to make sure that they're paying for it and all that stuff. And then I figured everything out. I go back in on Saturday. As soon as my bag goes through the little conveyor belt, my phone buzzes, and I don't have notifications on for texts or calls or anything. I don't give a fuck. The only one that I have a notification on for is Annalise. Everybody else is silent and has been for years. So I know if my phone vibrates, it's probably something that's important. So I look down again and it's like, your flight's delayed. I'm like, maybe it'll be 30 minutes. It's pretty common. 5.5 hour delay. And sitting in Newark. And the worst part of traveling now is wearing a mask. Like that shit sucks, dude. Like, and everybody that's listened to the show for a long time, I've taken every precaution. I take coronavirus for real and all that shit. But sitting in an airport for 6 hours and then getting on a 4-hour flight to come back home and then an Uber there and an Uber back. Like you're looking at like 14 hours in a fucking mask. I feel like I'm working in a pediatrician's office during COVID. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What terminal were you in Newark?
I was in Terminal C.
All right, at least that's the best of the three, the most current and has the best options for food and drinks. So
well, let me tell you how bougie I was,
going.
Cons.
Yeah.
I was bougie as shit. I logged in there and I was like, I'm not fucking doing this. I went to the United Club and I was like, I'm coming in here. Like, I'm fucking coming
hell
in.
or high water.
Like, this has been a 28 hour. I was supposed to be home 28 hours ago. You better let me come in there. And that was kind of cool because they had one of those Wendy's soda machines where you can make like any flavor you want.
Oh yeah.
If I was super rich, like Richie Rich, buddy, I'd be having one of those in my fucking place.
That's the thing that appeased you about this horrendous nightmare travel. You're like, all right, I'll stick with United.
And
the soda thing.
In the words of our friend and longtime stoolie Forrest Gump, I must have drank me about 14 Dr. Peppers that day.
Oh yeah,
I was crushing sodas.
You know, we've been out of the military for a little bit. And isn't it nice to just kind of get that feeling again of hurry up and wait?
No.
You know? No.
I don't want to do that at all.
No.
Nope.
Not good.
Hate it.
Well, I'm happy that you made it back eventually.
Yeah, I did. It was nice. And then the whole squad, I think that's the single greatest part about having dogs. Because we talk about the difference between dog and cat people. I'm a little bit of both. I love Sprinkle Dinkles. I love my dogs. But when you come home and you haven't been home for a couple days and your dogs see you, and they go bananas and they are just like so happy because the person that they live for is back. And they were like, I don't know where you went. I didn't know we didn't know. This is crazy that you're back. We
didn't know you were coming.
Yeah.
Baby Dale must have kissed my face for 20 minutes.
Conversely, tell me if I'm wrong because you both have cats. I feel like you come back and cats just kind of roll their eyes like,
false.
No.
They rub up against you and
Bork
go
literally
between your legs.
barrel rolls across the floor. He rolls across the floor like my feet. He's pumped.
They get happy in the same way, but the response from dogs, I just feel is superior. Like because they kiss you and their tails are just
a lot more dog military homecoming videos than cat.
We need to get the market on that. Like cat.
Now's the time. Now's the time. We can corner it.
American girls, American guys.
Coming home to their cats.
Sometimes they're coming home to a place like Walter Reid. And that's what we're going to talk about in round number 1. I think there's some quintessential lessons learned in this article. And I think every single person who was ever enlisted is going to listen to this and feel enraged, like just enraged, because we've talked about it a lot. The people that have been working in hospitals for this entire pandemic, awful, man. And working at Walter Reid, whereas the primary hospital with long-term injury and long-term recovery, combine that with the hospital here, BAMC here in San Antonio. Those are the 2 hospitals that are long-term recovery care. So working there, and I feel like you should get some perks. Like that should be one of the nicer spots because you're going to see horrific things on a daily basis.
Physically draining day after day, and you need your off time to recover from that. You need your off time to recover from that, and that has not been possible here.
It hasn't at all. And this comes to us from the Navy Times. They did a great job. It used to be when I was in, there was a time period where you thought that the Marine Times, the Navy Times, Army Times were all like the mouthpiece of the branch.
A propaganda machine from
what they've been doing lately is showing no. Between what's happening at the border in Texas and Mexico and how the Army Times has really uncovered that, and now this story, it's very clear that they're taking the correct approach and looking after the troops because somebody's got to. Kate, walk us through a little bit of what's happening at Walter Reid.
Yeah, and I'll say too, we've covered similar stories, shitty barracks, shitty base housing over and over, and I still felt fresh rage reading this one. This is,
and I think it's because of the commander that's there, and some of his responses just seem so unbelievably tone deaf in this article.
Hundreds of junior enlisted sailors and soldiers have gone for years without hot water in their barracks room aboard the Maryland Navy base that is home to Walter Reid National Military Medical Center.
Years, just outside the nation's capital. Years.
Not like, hey, it's just like busted up for a couple of weeks. Years.
Somebody who had a way less stressful job in the military, still one of the perks of my day was getting done PT at 05 and going to my hot shower. Having a hot shower is so important. Anyway, they've also been left to broil in barracks with broken air conditioning during humid mid-Atlantic summers, or been assigned rooms without working refrigerators, thermostats, or even locking doors, according to sailors who spoke with Navy Times. During a meeting, they had a town hall on Thursday about it. During that meeting, Naval Support Activity Bethesda's commanding officer, Captain Scott Switzer, encouraged affected troops to keep submitting trouble tickets for issues like hot water.
And just as a reminder for those not in the Navy or the Marine Corps, and for also Kate, captain in the Navy is an 06, which is the equivalent to colonel in the other ranks.
Yes. So who's that colonel, the famous one? He's in
Jessup.
a movie. Yep. Thank you. Big deal. But he also admitted that those trouble tickets had been improperly handled before. So submit those tickets, but also I know that you guys know they don't do shit. LOL. We just discovered a problem with our reporting process from some of our people who were not taking care of these trouble tickets right away, and we screwed that up, Switzer said. He took command of the base in May 2021. The issues center around 2 barracks buildings housing nearly 500 junior service members dubbed Comfort Hall and Sanctuary Hall.
Makes it so much more fucked up.
Comfort Hall and
just
Sanctuary.
makes it so much worse.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? A little too ironic. And yeah, I really do think. It's like no refridge and your food starts to rot. It's a lack of AC when the summer is hot. It's a bit of mold and a whole lot of cold. And who would have thought it figures? Captain Switzer, that's who
That's
knew
right.
the whole time.
Well done, Kate.
Thank you.
Well done. Alanis would be proud.
Thank you. Comfort Hall was
I
built
will say that swallowing your vocals there was like a jagged little pill in the old throat.
Oh, got your goose. Comfort Hall was built in 1981, while Sanctuary Hall opened to occupants in 2014, according to base spokesman Jeremy Brooks. Both barracks are mostly occupied by, wait, can you guys guess?
I would say undersecretaries of defense.
Yeah, high-ranking commanding officer. Wait a minute, no,
No.
the peasants, the peons,
the
boots,
boots.
the low-ranking Navy corpsmen and Army medical personnel who work.
Chief, this seaman doesn't have hot showers.
My door
or lock.
This because door doesn't lock.
Yes, peasants, low-ranking Navy corpsmen and Army medical personnel who work at the massive Walter Reid medical complex and who are, quite frankly, extremely needed and extremely fucking important. Those
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like the doctors are all very, very important, but I feel like these are the people that are keeping that place running day to day, doing all that obvious grunt work that needs to happen in a hospital that isn't
they're extremely
glamorous.
skilled. Yeah, it's crazy. Those who spoke with the Navy Times requested anonymity as they feared being punished for publicly speaking about their situation.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not new to living standards in the military, one corpsman said. I'm a military kid, lived in base housing, but this is just ridiculous. We're not in the field and we're not on a ship. There is no viable reason as to why we should be forced to live without basic qualities of life. One corpsman said the substandard living conditions affect not only morale, but mental health. I already work super long hours in a high
And this
demand.
is the part where I start to get fucking furious. Hearing from the actual sailors.
Same here. I already work super long hours in a high demand clinic with a huge patient volume, the corpsman said. We've been short staffed for a long time and there's no telework for us. It sucks to have to grit your teeth through a cold shower and go back to the grind. They call Walter Reid the corpsman killer, a corpsman noted. You come home after 10 to 12 hours and you can't take a shower after working in a hospital with constant germs. It doesn't feel like you're getting clean and we're in a pandemic. One corpsman said they had been assigned to Walter Reid for 19 months and that the water in Comfort Hall has been constantly cold. This to me, I'm a hot shower. I live in the fucking shower. I live there. It's my one little break a day where I just hang out in there. It's a hot, that is for real, a fucking morale crusher.
To his point though, like there's a reason we as a society, as a people take hot showers. And that's because the water works better when it's hot. It cleans you better when it's hot. It's not about just,
That's
comfort.
exactly right, Cons. That sounds like somebody who's done the dishes a time or two.
That's right.
You want to get that spaghetti off a plate, buddy. You better pipe that water.
Comfort Hall also went without air conditioning for several months last summer, and shipmates roasted in rooms reaching 95 degrees, which ironically made the cold showers a welcome reprieve.
And I hate this because this comes, like I used to live in that region of the country when I was in, and it's so infuriating because they're like, oh, we've already turned the heat off. The heat's on. We can't turn it back. Motherfucker, it's a switch. Like, just come down with the key, unlock it, flip it the other way so people aren't roasting their dicks and clits off.
Yeah, thank you for the inclusion there. Base leadership, because it was so hot, base leadership put down cots in the lower floor common areas for troops seeking relief, but no one took them up on it. I wonder why. We talked about safety and stuff in the military. There's reasons why. Some said they expected
Not
a Walter
to
Reid.
mention those cots would be covered in cement.
Absolutely.
Semen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's true. Don't go in there with a black light.
Exactly right.
Find a lot of sailors in there.
Mhm.
Some said they expected a Walter Reid tour to be tough, with one recalling instructors at Corpsman School telling them Walter Reid sucks and to be prepared. So this was notorious. Everybody knew it. Both corpsmen and base leadership say the issues in comfort and sanctuary halls have existed for some time, and that leaders have previously promised fixes that never materialized. But the issue took on renewed urgency this week when one afflicted sailor posted about the problem on Reddit and had reached a breaking point.
And this kills me too, because like, why does it take public outcry to do the right thing? Why?
Right.
Like they knew about it before.
Every
Why
single
does it take
leader,
that?
every single leader on that base, military and civilian, knew. Every single one of them, and they knew exact little details all the way to the bottom.
These
They knew it
junior
the whole
troops
time.
should start sending us. If you've sent it in emails, send it to us. We'll publish it that they knew about it. Those motherfuckers. How dare you?
And this was the Reddit post. I understand that you're in the military, get over it mentality, but holy shit, I don't think a warm shower is a whole lot to ask for at a shore command that calls itself the flagship of naval medicine. What can I do to get this fixed? Or is my only option marrying a stripper to get out of the barracks? These aren't, and so this is what Switzer
I'm
said.
sorry for laughing, but that's terrible.
It's true. I mean, it's absolutely right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it sucks for them because there aren't as many male strippers for us to marry. It's just the facts. So Switzer says, these aren't excuses, folks. I just want you to understand what we sometimes have to deal with to make what seems to be an easy repair, Switzer said. It's not as easy as having the plumber come in and change out a valve or quickly fix a system. That's just our reality. Unfortunately, that's fucking bullshit. That's fucking dog shit bullshit. If you gave a single fuck about your corpsmen, about your soldiers, about anything, you would say, full stop. We're fixing this right fucking now. I don't care if it costs $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever. We're having people come in and fucking fix it. And you can fucking fix it. You're the fucking military.
And you're the one that's in charge. You're the one that makes the calls. If you bring your maintenance staff in, if you bring in the CBs or whoever the fuck actually does it, if you're like, you have 1 week to figure this out. Every single junior officer that reports to the captain here would be like, this is all we're focused on. If you get a directive, accomplish it in the next week, you move heaven and earth to get it done. It's never been a priority for them to do. Never.
Right.
And I don't give a fuck if they have to put these troops up in a hotel. I don't give a fuck what they have to do. If the barracks
wait until they
unusable,
actually have the captain give some actual examples of what he thinks could get them through this obstacle.
One service member pushed back on suggestions that affected members just go shower somewhere else that has hot water. To be honest, so this is something he suggested. Why didn't you could go somewhere else? Okay, with all due respect, get fucked. To be honest, sir, I just got here and I don't feel comfortable with using someone else's shower, a female service member said. We're all shipmates and everything, but it's a fine line with the privacy thing. I would just like to take a shower in my own room. I don't blame you, Switzer replied. A resident advisor for one of the barracks suggested working out in the morning and then showering at the gym. I don't know that those gyms have working hot water. I imagine they do, the RA said. They don't, several voices in the crowd offered.
I love this because you could picture what this like in like a battalion formation. Everybody sitting in a theater and the fold down music seats, and then they don't and then you have some chief or some first sergeant look over like, who the fuck said that?
Yeah,
I would say the rest, but we might get canceled.
One sailor said a sign at the gym indicates there's no hot water there either, which base officials confirmed to Navy Times. One attendee said he microwaves his water to shave.
Oh my God. Yes, that's a huge point because shaving with cold water blows, man.
Ladies on that base, your legs got to be looking like
looks like you got Chewbacca in a headlock down there.
Exactly. Yeah. The gym is an option. The hospital is also an option, Switzer said. I don't have any other place that I own that I can use. What the fuck does that mean? So that's it. Those are the only two options you're giving them right now. Sir, you better open up your house and give shower hours then. Fucking if you care about.
Actually, don't. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
this is disappointing too, because
Open door policy over here in my bathroom. Come on in.
Why is everyone doing gymnastics at the captain's house? This is fucking weird.
Yeah.
The recurring theme throughout the article is that it's like, oh, we just accept it, that this is just the way it is in the military. We need to stop just accepting that this is just something that we deal with in the military, because this is a basic.
Listen, private,
No.
you want a hot shower, you do like the military before you. You take your ass down, you sign up for $10 at Planet Fitness, and you work out there without setting off the lunk alarm. It's that easy.
This
Right.
every single time though, without fail, that I read the comments on a story like this, and there's endless stories about shitty barracks, shitty base housing, or anytime we post about it, there are at least 10 guys from like who served in like 1987 in the comments going, well, when I was in, I wasn't
Brain
a pussy.
damage 62.
Yeah, I wasn't a pussy who cared about cold showers, you little bitch. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. I know if you were in, you'd be crying all day about it. Whatever. Anyway, one said, sir, I just really wanted to reiterate the transparency you mentioned earlier. One sailor noted, I've been here for a minute and kind of had these meetings before. And then after these meetings, we're still left in the dark. I know we're just little E3s and E4s, the sailor added. You're not just little E3s and E4s, Switzer replied.
Oh, you little babies. You're not
You're
just
little
E3s
babies.
and 4s.
You're little peasants, and don't you forget it. I could stick my boot up every single. Oh, wait, no. There is perception out there, and I get this too, that you don't trust senior people. You don't trust officers, Switzer said. You get to be the E3 that holds the 06 accountable. Oh, this is a cool
all
guy.
that shit
Cool
is
guy.
just like you're saying it.
But
Just
it doesn't mean
do.
shit.
Just do.
Yeah.
As the meeting
Yeah.
progressed, a female service member noted that the lock on her room door broke and she was concerned for her safety. Another female service member told Navy Times that several sailors have had issues with their door locks not working. That is so, you can't fix that, Switzer. You can't just say,
That's just
hey,
not as easy as having a couple PVC pipes out there, Kate. You got to think. You got to go to like HomeDepot.com or Amazon, and you got to order these damn locks. You know how long that takes? Like 3 seconds. It's a
and
long
I
time.
understand that military bureaucracy is insane and that ordering a lock to fix a door probably does take 15 steps that are a pain in the ass. This is where a real leader says, that's bullshit. I'm going to Home Depot myself. I'm buying this shit and I'm fixing the locks. Like,
Yeah, but
this is where like you bypass
that's not
that shit.
sustainable, and he shouldn't have to do that. He should
Right.
just bypass everything. And because I think with a lot
It's
of this
insane.
stuff too, it's not a case of just ordering somebody who is in the unit who's responsible for maintenance. This probably does have to go out to some sort of civilian
Well, it's usually
contractor.
civilian. Yes.
Right. So, and I understand there's a process there. So, hey, sir, make
Figure it out.
it your duty to figure out this process and get all the paperwork pushed through, because we're talking about hot water and locks. We're not talking about asking you to move heaven and earth. We're talking about some basics for on post housing. And if we want to hold our military to a certain standard and tell everyone how great our military is, which it is, well, then we should be able to take care of some very basic needs here.
Yeah. I just think the Manning thing, Walter, the work that these troops are doing is so impressive and so mentally and physically taxing that I just cannot believe they're being treated this way.
I got a note
fucking
from
insane.
one of the folks that's actually living there now, and he said that they knew things were different this time because they all had to move out of their barracks. So they give people like 24 hours notice, 48 hours notice that they're moving barracks. Everybody has to pack up. They said that they have the floors almost segregated, like in a way where they have like the people who are, because in these barracks, folks that were wounded in action are living in these barracks too. Like the ones that don't need constant, the ones that don't need constant care and like in the ICU or things like that, but are almost in like the barracks
Holy
halfway
fuck.
house, like kind of thing where you're getting ready to go back to your unit. They live there. They're all on one floor. Then you have people that work in the hospitals that are on another floor. They actually had like senior chiefs and master chief petty officers out there helping the sailors move rooms. In order to have a fucking E9 or E8 out there helping move rooms and not just yelling at people to do it, they know that PP is about to get slapped because they had these articles coming out. You do not want to be shamed because this type of thing, if it gets out and they can prove that he knew it, or an IEG investigation proves that the commanding officer knew it, that is not a way to get promoted in today's military.
No,
it is just not. Like if you have all these people making these stinks, and this is what you should do, like junior sailors like this, and everyone essentially. We've never really had the outlet of social media now, but we want to advocate for you. If this is something that's going on, we want you to let us know because we will talk about it. We will make a stink and I'll tag the PAOs wherever you're at and get it fixed. Like we want to help. So send us into our DMs, our emails. If you got a serious fucked up situation. Now, listen, if somebody's not letting you carry an umbrella around, I'm going to be like, kudos. I'm not going to remove all the staff NCO from myself, but I will help you if you actually need it. And this is one of those times. Like, come on.
This is really important too, to point that out, chaps, because for all these officers and these high ranking folks that don't live in these barracks, when it's not top of mind, it just is not something you concern yourself with. So you have to make it so it's
and very
top
much
of mind
I
for
did
them.
this myself type of situation so they could deal with it too.
Cons, when you were an officer, like how in tune were you with?
Not at all. I didn't know about how like barracks were all jacked up all the time until I really started talking to you two guys, honestly, because my soldiers they've never brought it to me. So I just never heard about these complaints.
Because honest to God, it's not even really an officer issue. Like the health and welfare belongs to the senior NCOs, and that's who is wrong. Because officers, unless you were an enlisted person before, you really have zero idea. And how could you? Like,
I disagree. I think if you're an officer and it is part of your job because you're following up on you're in charge of the senior enlisted. It's on you to do checks and balances on that shit, to go see
I don't
for
think
yourself.
so.
Because like, all the time,
as a staff NCO, I'd be furious if that's something that he got involved with. Furious.
If he started putting his nose in there.
It's well known. It is well known that senior staff NCOs, like, they whitewash everything and make it seem better for the higher up. So life's better for them. Like, I'm sorry if you,
I understand what you're saying, Kate, and it's definitely not wrong to have trust but verify. Like where you're like quarterly, I'm going to go by and I'm going to do an inspection on the barracks and make sure that everything's fine. I'm not going to be there every single field day. I'm not going to be there every month, but occasionally I'm going to step in because I need to see too. Like I have zero problem with that. But if you're involved every day, not
every day. But listen, if I was commanding officer, I would carry I'd come on a Saturday around like evening when the kids are starting to drink in the smoke pit. I have a skateboard over my shoulder, sunglasses, fake mustache. Hey, fellow E2s, how's the barracks hanging?
White Corvette, New Year's Eve, hanging out with everybody.
Yeah. Hey, fellow.
Oh, cool kids. Well, if you're going to stop by the barracks, you might want to stop by with some flowers because at 1-800-Flowers, they have a beautiful bouquet. We got a little bit of Valentine's Day coming up the day after Super Bowl. So don't get too drunk and really fuck that up or you're going to regret it. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Valentine's Day is here. Don't be the person that wakes up with a sheer terror because you forgot. There is nothing sadder. Kate, you should do this. Go to the grocery store in New York, like on the morning of Valentine's Day, and look at the look of defeat on some of the men there that just haven't prepared.
Slim pickings.
They're going to have to spend like $130 on some bullshit flowers that are going to die because they've been sitting next to the milk for a week. Don't do that. Have them delivered and save yourself some money because you can get 24 assorted roses for just $39.99, or you can upgrade to 24 roses for $10 more. That's a lot. That's a lot of roses.
That's a lot of roses. That's a lot of roses.
So make sure that you go right now to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon and enter the code 0. That's 1-800-Flowers.com. Enter the code 0. Offers expires on Wednesday. So if you're listening tonight or if you're listening on Tuesday, make sure that you get it in before Wednesday to be guaranteed to get them flowers. Because you get them flowers, most likely, what happens, Kate?
I'll say it. Carolina squeezer.
That's exactly right. All right, let's move on to round number 2. Not involving Carolina squeezers, but it is involving furries, which is pretty fun. I'm excited
a horny
about this
group
one too. Yeah, it's a horny group. Kate loves furries, and
I love them, man.
You really do, and I could see why. What was your first ever time that you heard about furries? Do you remember?
Oh, I've been following for probably like 10 years ago. Vice probably did a special on them or something, but I've been following the furry community. I've been following them on Instagram and Twitter for long. You chaps, ever since we first met, I've been sending you. I'm like, look at this thread, look at these furries. I'm going to FurCon. Like, I've been following them forever. Love them.
My first one. NCIS, the TV show. I remember watching it while I was in Iraq on the share drive. And it was like a corporal that was involved with being a furry. And they had like this, one of the furries got murdered and it was like a furry party. NCIS got involved. And I thought, damn, NCIS, they got to be experts in everything. How do you find who did what at a furry party? Nobody has any identifying markers.
Right.
Not so fast, my friends. The furry community, they know each other. You don't get shaking your tail around without other people know what's going on.
No, there's a whole persona. Each furry is its own furry individual. Oh yeah, trust
And
me.
it's not just about being a furry is not just about sex stuff. It's not. It's a whole
No.
lifestyle.
No,
Sex is a part
that's
of it,
like
but it's
a
not.
part that some of them partake in. It's if you want to learn more about if you look at how many blogs I've done about furries, and they're always sterling, they're always positive. Trust me. Come
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
you love that community. And then we have
Anyway.
another reason why now, because I don't know if you guys saw, did you see the images that OIF Nation Actual put out this weekend of the book burning party that Pastor Locke had? Somewhere
No.
they took a bunch of Harry Potter books and fucking Percy Jackson and shit like that, and had an enormous like 1940s style book burning party, like huge.
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't see it. That's unfortunate to hear.
It
Can't
is
burn
really,
books.
I mean,
Well, you have that. You have like different states trying to remove classic literature, like award-winning novels and things like that, like legit cancel culture stuff coming out. The furries, they are not going to abide that. They're not going to abide that shit at all, are they, Kate?
no, they are not. The furry community has taken charge of leading fundraising efforts for the Madison County Library System in Mississippi, and they've raised thousands of dollars for funding as the library hangs in limbo. It's running out of funding. The system entered the spotlight after Ridgeland Mayor Gene McGee said he would withhold $110,000 in annual funding after books with LGBTQ themes and authors were put on display. And for people who don't realize, like I've always been a library lady, it's not just about getting books out. It's for people who don't have access to internet and computers and all sorts of really important resources. Libraries are a big deal and they're a huge hub of the community. So withholding,
and they have one of the top most distinguished smells, I think.
Great
like you
smell.
walk into a library blindfold, you know you're in a library. Same thing with a thrift store.
They're a hub. It's a hub of community programs and community support. It's a big deal and it smells great. So anyway, he's withholding $110,000 of money for them. Furries are, I mean, we already covered this, but they're a group of writers, artists, role players who take an interest in anthropomorphize, whatever that word is. They dress like cats and
anthropomorphism,
wolves.
like where
Whatever.
you have give human-like qualities to animals.
But they're often part of the LGBTQ community because it's very much a group of like, you do you, let your freak flag fly. We love you. It's very inclusive. It's an extremely inclusive community.
I need to issue a correction. It's not just animals. It's anything that's non-human. God can also have anthropomorphic properties as well, like the hand of God.
Right. Or you could be a Schlebenschlorgen.
Exactly right, Kate. Thank you.
Anyway, McGee said he received complaints about books with LGBTQ themes or authors, which had been part of a new book display at Ridgeland in September. So people walking by, like our library has a big glass display. Fun fact, Punxsutawney Library in Pennsylvania, that's where the groundhog lives. The library display case most of the year. Anyway, people were walking by this and were like, what? What the hell? It's gay. In my capacity as mayor, I simply believe the books are inappropriate for children, McGee said in a statement. Also, people so often confuse sexuality with sex. And so, like, I don't know. The whole thing is just people just are so completely ignorant that it boggles the mind.
And the furries are helping.
The furries are helping because Soatalk, a Florida tech industry worker and furry community member who prefers to go by his online handle, saw a tweet about the situation and took action to raise awareness. I have friends in Mississippi, and I know that this act of bigotry doesn't speak for all Mississippi residents. So instead of dismissing the entire state because of the actions of one bad politician, I decided to explore the possibility of donating to offset the withheld amount. Furries are known to swarm to charitable causes that resonate with the community, and they have raised upwards of $80,000 in a single weekend. And actually, I went to check. They have now raised $96,217.69 in 11 days. They are almost 87% of the way to their $110,000 goal for the library. So, Mayor McGee, they don't need you. You know what? This kind of reminds me of a song.
And I wanted to share that story for two reasons. One, there's been a phrase that lately.
Let her sing her song, chaps. Just let her sing her song.
Are you about to sing a song, Kate? Sorry.
Folks broke but donating, some odd but so kind.
Oh,
they're fun and they're furry, baby. Mayor Gene tried to stop them, but they were not overwhelmed. The library's funded, baby. And what it all comes down to is that everything's gonna be fine. Because I got one hand in my fur pocket and the other one is giving $5 to the library.
Yay. Good job.
Oh, I like it.
Catherine.
Yeah, no, that was good. I thought that fucking crushed it. That was really
Slaps.
So what were you gonna say? It sounded actually important.
good. Well, now I don't know if it feels right, but there's been a phrase, every now and then I get phrases stuck in my brain. For a long time, it's been bloom where you're planted. But
Yes.
another one that has popped into my brain that I've been thinking about a lot, and it's something that I feel like we all do in this industry, we all do all the time. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And And I think that a lot of times we do that. Like we do that with work, we do that military wise, we do that with, if we come across a little bump in the road, we look at that bump in the road and think, oh man, I made a mistake here. I guess my voice doesn't matter in this community. I've made a mistake. That's not true. Like you could do little things that you might think is small, like starting a tweet, like raising a little bit of money, raising awareness about certain issues. You as a veteran in this community can do big things just by not letting perfect be the enemy of good. You might not be the best advocate in the world, but your time matters and trying matters. And I think that that's very important to understand.
Yes, definitely. So it's
I
pretty
also
cool.
don't like folks like this mayor just trying to push his ideals and his beliefs on other people. What people do in their own time and how they decide to live their lives is perfectly fine, I think. And just making the decision by yourself that certain books are not acceptable, I don't think that's right to just try to impose that on other people. So I think it's excellent that the folks here stepped up, raised the money on their own, and they're going to keep supporting in the way that they deem appropriate.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And at least this one, Furry News, isn't about them trying to put litter box in kids' bathrooms.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is important.
Which would happen last time. All right, let's move on to round number 3. This one comes to us from Kansas. We usually don't have Kansas and ISIS related stories at the same time, but this time we do. Fantastic. What do we got, Kate?
So a woman from Kansas, once known as a doe-eyed all-American girl, will remain in custody before facing terrorism charges for allegedly leading a female ISIS fighting squadron. Allison Fluke Ekron, age 42, is accused of training children as young as 6 to use machine guns and planning to commit violent jihad. She was denied bail after appearing in court in Virginia on Thursday. She faces decades in prison. How the former school teacher, who said she prefers to go by Ekrons, went from Midwestern wife to terror fanatic who rose in the ranks of ISIS to command her own all-female battalion is a mystery. Larry Miller, who was Miss Ekron's science teacher when she was a teenager in Topeka, Kansas in the 90s, told BBC that he was utterly stunned by the news. He remembered her fondly as a bright student during the years that she attended the fee-paying school where he taught. And there's a picture of her and she's holding a lizard. She looks like she got braces and she's pretty.
She looks like the worst thing that she would ever get involved in is like a pyramid scheme selling Scentsy.
LuLaRoe pants or something.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. She was a very good student, smart, good sense of humor, supportive parents. About 15 years ago, he received an email from her saying how much she admired him as a teacher. It was a really nice letter saying how she had this love of science and nature and she was getting a degree to teach. She never did anything that indicated to me she might want to harm another living thing, he said.
But that's a little like, who's going to say to a teacher or something like that, hey, I really like learning about frogs. Also, when I grow up, I would like to lead an ISIS battery.
Right.
Like, I think that would
usually,
be
yeah, the one doesn't follow the other typically.
you don't, just like Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't like, hey, I needed my power turned on. Also, I eat children. Like you don't do that.
Well, it's like these school shooters that they interview their like 3rd grade teacher and they're like, he loved dodgeball. Man, I didn't know. He fucking loved dodgeball.
Dodgeball and finger painting. Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? Decades later, however, she allegedly became a devoted follower of extremist ideology espoused by ISIS, with one witness telling federal U.S. prosecutors that her views were an 11 or a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely radicalized. According to U.S. authorities, Ms. Ekron spent time living in the Middle East in the late 2000s with her then husband and children, splitting time abroad with visits back to Kansas. She recorded details of what happened to be a normal life on a blog from 2008. In or around 2012, she was smuggled to Syria, U.S. authorities said, and engaged in a life of terrorism thereafter.
See, now what does that smuggled mean? Because smuggled to me is a very specific word, and I wish that they were more precise with the language here, because smuggled implies that she didn't do it on her own accord, right?
Mhm.
No,
Like-
I disagree. Like,
you think that it means like she was like secretive about it?
Yes, like people from Mexico get smuggled to the US. Like they pay for it. They want that to happen.
Yeah,
Like,
I just think that especially with the Islamic State, you got to be very careful about, was she trafficked there or did she do it intentionally?
From what it sounds like, she was already
right. Like it sounds like she
dumb.
did it on her own accord. That's why I don't like the word smuggled, but but we don't need to get into the lexicon of it.
Well, she then married several ISIS operatives after her first husband died and was training women and girls to use AK-47s, detonate bombs, and use suicide belts. Really leaning in, really getting women to break the glass.
I also need to know how this guy died. Did he die from like having fucking COVID, or is he a suicide bomber? I feel like it's very different.
Right. Or did he get hit by a bus? Did he push too hard in the toilet and have a heart
Good point.
attack?
Did he get the bus ankle? That's why we need to know.
Thank you. One witness alleged that they had observed one of Miss Ekran's children, then aged 5 or 6, holding a machine gun at her residence while living in Syria. As soon as you get kids involved in this shit too, like, oh, you fucking suck. I'll say it.
Wow.
Cunty. A little cunty. On Thursday, Judge Ivan Davis said Miss Ekran would remain in custody without bail, explaining the court weighs different factors, including safety of the local community, yada, yada. She did not contest.
So why don't the
detention.
judge just say, bitch, you were in ISIS? No.
Yeah. No.
To me, that would be my bail policy would be like, were you in ISIS? If your answer is yes, it's immediate no. If your answer is no, then I'll ask you another question.
Yes.
Earlier this week, she was told that her family in the U.S. had requested she be barred from contacting them. A cooperating witness in the U.S. Is confirmed to be one of her family members, so they were not named. So even her family's like, fuck this bitch. What the fuck? How does someone like Allison, an all-American girl, become a person that wants to go out and kill? Her teacher asked. She must have been brainwashed, he concluded. Wow. Allison, I'm here to remind you of the mess you left when you went away. It's not fair to join ISIS. Oh, the bombs you blow that you aimed at me. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, we're doing an episode and simultaneously cutting the soundtrack, which is impressive.
I'm on an Atlantis kick this week.
Yeah, no, I get it. She's all time. Did you watch the Music Box documentary about her on HBO Max?
Not yet, but I'm gonna
definitely check that out. Very interesting. Goes into the Jagged Little Pill tour and her come up onto the scene. I didn't realize that she was super famous even before all that. But
you can't do that on television, head ass.
Yeah.
Can I say though, I would be very interested to read the deep dive of how she got so radicalized. It sounds like, if I had to guess from what it sounds like, it was her husband was the first link to this spiral, whoever it was that she married.
Possibly. I mean, this certainly isn't the
Uncle Joey, right?
Yeah.
We're getting our stories all mixed up now. She had a nasty divorce.
Certainly isn't
the
the
other
American
one was
girl.
nasty fucking in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Right.
Certainly not the American girl that Tom Petty was singing about, but it's on the one hand, she's super susceptible and could easily have been brainwashed, but you're now telling me she runs a whole battalion. So
Alanis Morissette or this
pretty
woman?
capable.
We go
right
back
now.
to
This is
Allison.
how rumors get started. This is how rumors get started.
Oh, dude, if you told people, I bet if you started a rumor that Alanis Morissette was fucking involved in ISIS, that people believe it. I mean, you start talking about hairy armpits, people believe anything.
Can you imagine her propaganda songs for them? She'd be great.
Oh man, it'd be fantastic. What's your favorite Alanis Morissette song?
Oh, probably Ironic.
Basic.
Yeah.
Mine's Uninvited. That shit bangs.
Oh, the secret track. Oh, remember those?
Oh man, when that comes on and you're not expecting it and you're taking a bath with some lavender, it's unbelievable.
She's in his shower. When I was a teen listening to that was scandalous. Okay.
I think mine might be Thank You.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you need a better memory than thank you, I would go with our friends at Paint Your Life. They're back making new memories in the new world, and I found a place to hold those memories. I sent them off one. It's going to come, and it cannot wait. So a couple years ago, I got a picture of Baby Dale Woohoo and Gussie Boy from Heaven Above dressed up like old Russian oligarchs, and they were hanging out in their fancy boy clothes. And now I'm getting one of those Baby Baby Dale, Gus, and Sprinkle Dinkles all painted with this company, and it's fantastic. All you have to do to paint anything, they'll paint any of your portraits by texting 0 to 64,000. It's fantastic. You can get your portrait in as little as 2 weeks. Send any picture of yourself, your children, family, a special place, someone you love who isn't around anymore, a cherished pet, or even an action shot, and they will paint it, and it'll look fantastic. And if you don't like it, you're going to get your money back at paintyourlife.com. There's no risk. If you don't like the final painting, the money is refunded, guaranteed. And right now, for a limited time offer, get free 20% off your painting. That's right, 20% off and free shipping. To get the special order, text the word 0 to 64,000. That's ZERO to 64,000. Text 0 to 64,000. Paint your life. Celebrate the moments that matter most. Terms apply. Available at paintyourlife.com/terms. Let's move on to round number, what is this, 3?
4.
We're going to do a little military bug goofing. Oh, wait, no, we're not. Round number 4, we're actually going to go to the Cons' interview. We're about to Channing Your Tatum, folks. He's in the new movie Dog that I've actually heard is pretty good. Con said it was good. Did you get to do a screener?
Yes, I got a screener, and I'm gonna tell you this, and I said it to Channing and Reid, the co-director, in the interview.
Channing for
yeah, we're besties.
Look at me.
Pardon me. I said to Chanty. I said to
me and Channing hanging out on a Sunday. Oh.
Anywho, I said to
Connor
them,
and Channing sitting in a tree. Movie SCREENING.
I said to them, I was expecting a very different movie from what I saw in the trailer and what the movie actually was.
You went into it thinking it was a biopic about Dog the Bounty Hunter, right?
Yeah, no, originally I did. You're right. No, that's exactly. No, it seems like it's going to be like this, like, fun, like lovey-dovey movie with Channing and this dog. And it's definitely has comedic parts, and I think he's a great actor and has some really good comedic timing, but it gets kind of serious at times too. And I really think a lot of veterans are going to resonate with the overall journey that Channing himself takes during the course of the movie. And it really, really was enjoyable. I didn't get a chance to tell them this. At one point, I definitely cried. Definitely got some tears out of me. It was a heavy moment. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but overall, I thought it was a really good job. Seemingly, they did a very good job. They had a bunch of Rangers that were on set watching the whole time to make sure it was very authentic, and that really came through as well. So I was
that has to be so
impressed.
Intimidating as an actor to be doing that, knowing like the real deal guys are like right over your shoulder as you're doing stuff, like
ladies.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I only wish I could have gotten a little bit longer with everybody. It was part of the little press junket that they were doing. So it was like one out after the other. And, I only got a few minutes, so I apologize that we couldn't go longer, but they were awesome. Such nice guys.
Very cool.
Definitely sounded like they would have went on for 20, 30 minutes with me if they didn't have anything else to do.
So really whenever you're watching the emotional point, was it more or less emotional than when Jenny tells Forrest that little Forrest is his son and he is smart?
Wow. I would say less, except if you're a veteran, then it's more.
Oh, okay. I'm going to watch.
Yeah. Is he like me or he's so smart, Jenny? I love that part so much when it gets choked up.
And my God, last thing I'll say, by far and away, I was the ugliest person in that round table with these two guys. Unbelievable how attractive.
Well, that's not every ZBT episode.
Yeah, that too. I'm used to it by now.
Look at us.
It was unbelievable.
I got a new fucking head razor. Look how
I look like a thumb. I look like
shiny.
Terrible.
All right, here's Channing Tatum.
Cool. Thanks. Hey guys. Connor from Zero Blog 30, Barstool Sports Military Podcast. Good to meet you.
Yo, nice. What's going on, man? You too.
Not much. I appreciate you guys taking some time. So I'll just jump right into it. I know Channing, you talked about wanting to make a movie to honor the memory of your dog, Lulu. Sorry that you lost her a few years ago. There's a million different directions I think you can take with making a movie about a dog. How did you land on, all right, I'm going to make it about the relationship I had with a battle buddy in the military and his working dog? How did that come about?
Well, I lost my puppy of about 11 years. I had her from like 6 weeks old. I mean, she was like my shadow. She was my best friend, like my first child essentially. And towards the end, I kept her alive too long. She was ready to go, and I was fighting to keep her here. And we went on this road trip, and I kind of knew it was the end. Got to say my goodbyes, and then when she came home, and on that road trip, I realized some pretty profound things. I was losing my best friend at like a really like inopportune moment, and I just had to accept that, and I surrendered to it. I came home and started talking to my buddy about like the things I kind of learned on this like really profound road trip, and then we started kind of being like, maybe there's a story here. We've been looking for something to direct and for Reid to write, and then we beat out that story, and it was sad. It was a sad story.
No, it really was. It was very different from, I thought we were going into the trailer thinking it's going to be like this fun romp, and then it turns into a very, some serious undertones.
Yeah, there's definitely some there's definitely some real things in it, and we beat it out the story where Lulu was gonna, it was my story of like a bucket list trip with the dog, and the dog has to die at the end, because that was the truth of it. And then what we realized was like, that wasn't really what my dog Lulu and I's real experience in this world was. Ours was like full of adventure and joy and like craziness. And so we had done a documentary for HBO on war dogs, these like really high level multi-purpose canines and their handlers and the teams and things, and all the teams, but mainly the Rangers, and their connection, and these like super soldiers, these like men that like are the hardest men that I know, that really know how to compartmentalize their emotions, are just reduced to like baby talking when they're talking to their dogs, or like they're talking, and you're just like, what? Who are you now? Like, you were just talking about some hard stuff before, like now you're just you're baby talking. And then they just access a part, I think, of people and humans that we found really fascinating to like kind of let these two very really specific beings that are kind of at a transition point in their life to really make some decisions on like what's going to be next, and they have to take the next step together.
Yeah, and we had those Rangers from our documentary, and also some other Rangers, that weren't in the film, on set with us the whole time, and coming on a USO tour with us. And so they're still just like the members of that community that we made the documentary on are still just kind of really close friends, and people whose lives we wanted to shine a light on.
Yeah, no, Reid, I appreciate you saying that, because I was curious. You guys did an awesome job of being very authentic to the veteran community, and Channing did such a great job. So I appreciate you taking the time and effort to really be authentic. So thanks very much.
We were never more scared to like show a movie to anybody. Like, critics can like just they destroy the movies all the time, or like they have something to say, and you don't really give a shit because you're just like, it is what it is.
It's work, yeah.
Yeah, but I just had like, I poured like the tallest drink, and when we send it to the Rangers, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they don't hate this thing. And like what they said, they're like, holy shit, you guys really listen to us.
Yeah. No, you're right. Like the veteran and the military community, aside from like just picking apart like the uniforms and stuff, we'll notice all those little nuances. It's important.
You try to get Ranger Battalion right when there's no pictures of it anywhere. You actually have to know real Rangers to get it somewhat right, and they have to co-sign it.
Right.
Getting it.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate it. You did a fantastic job. Really enjoyed the movie. Best of luck to you. Take care.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much to Channing and to Reid for joining us. It was
really
very
cool.
enjoyable. And I'm hoping, I don't know, we'll figure it out. We'll get them back on ZBT because they got more to tell, I think.
I do want to say, I started saying this before, Chan. Is that the word we call it? Channing?
That's what we're calling him, yeah.
I'll say it. Cons is the best looking person on our podcast.
Wow.
Besides Nick.
Besides Nick is behind it, but Nick's most attractive. He's not always on. And then Connor. And then, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Then you, then me. Right?
No offense.
Sorry.
No. I actually, no, I believe I'm at the bottom now. We're often tied. I feel like we're tied.
I have had quite the glow up. Thank you very
You
much,
have.
Kate. All right.
You've started on your skincare.
And that interview about dog was brought to you by our good friends at Rocky Boots. Rocky Boots, if you haven't tried them yet, you're an idiot. They just sent me some the other day, the garden boots. I don't know if that's what they're officially called. They're yellow and they're slip on, and they have these really rough bottoms. So you don't slip and fall and things like that. They have become my go-to take the dogs out in the morning boots. Like they're a little bit above my ankle and I just slip them on. I fucking love them. They're so comfortable too. Make sure you go get a pair of those or your work boots or whatever you possibly need, because Rocky Boots builds boots for men and women that serve and protect the country. They're designed and built in the U.S. for each one of the individual military branches as well as first responders. You can basically wear them no matter what you do. Just go to rockyboots.com, enter the promo code ZBT at checkout for 25% off your next pair of boots. They're a fantastic set of boots. They've been with us for a long time. We appreciate them. If you appreciate us, go buy some Rocky Boots. Let them know by entering the promo code ZBT to get 25% off. Let's move into bugs. Last week, we talked about some animals that were affected in the military. I'm still blown away and wish I would have been around some military work in elephants. I think that would have been a fantastic time. Although I will admit, when they take cell phones or any type of video camera and they go inside the mouth of an elephant and it starts chewing shit with its tongue, it grosses me out for some reason.
Yeah, it's pretty
An
icky.
elephant's mouth is gross.
It's gross. Real slimy in there. It's unexpected.
It really is. It really is.
They need to
All
clean
right,
it
so
up.
Kate, what are some of the best bugs that you found?
Yeah, so this was a history.com article about how bugs have been used over the course of history to help in battle and stuff. I want to say too, I think we covered it on the show like a year or two ago. They're starting to look at turning like actual cockroaches and bees and stuff like that into drones, like putting the teeniest little cameras because they can go.
I thought you were going to say milk because that's a thing too. Like
I know, roach milk
too.
I know. Yeah, not great. But anyway, we've been using bees and bugs and whatever throughout history. I believe I was reading something about World War II and let me just get into it. Beehive catapults, scorpion
Before
bombs.
we do that though, do you guys remember the single most war crime related thing that's ever happened with bugs?
Ooh, was that the locusts from the Bible?
No,
Yeah,
that's
was that
close,
God?
though. That was close.
That was on God. Yeah.
Yeah, God was pretty
Plague.
vicious then.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah,
one that I'm thinking of, more of arachnid, I think, is actually the classification than straight up bug. It's the boo box from Hook.
For sure.
Right,
Well,
right. Lest we forget.
we're gonna.
We talked about that in law classes.
There's a man in history that I'm going to read about who actually did the boo box in real life.
Ugh.
Not great. The boo box
me.
is a very real thing. Delivering disease via insect vectors has been widely effective. During World War II, Japanese biological warfare units dropped plague-infected fleas and cholera-coated flies on Chinese cities, killing some 440,000 people. Am I reading that right? 400.
Yeah.
The Japanese military also developed plans to spread plague-carrying fleas over San Diego in 1945, but never followed through. Instead, the Marine Corps boot camp just brought those on their own.
Exactly right.
In 1989, domestic bioterrorists told authorities they were breeding and releasing med flies in California, and the eco-radicals would continue doing so until the government halted insecticide spraying. Had this devastating pest become established, the infestation was suppressed, thank God. The resulting quarantine on California fruits would have destroyed crops in one of America's most vital agricultural regions. Holy shit. But for millennia, six-legged soldiers.
How is that type of bioterrorism worth it? Like, so you're against the poison, so you're going to poison fucking everything where nothing ever works again? Like, how does that make sense?
Counterintuitive for sure.
Yeah. But we've been using them for a long, long time. First up, scorpion blitz. At the end of the 2nd century, a Roman emperor was on his way to wresting control of Mesopotamia from local monarchs. That is, before a shower of scorpions helped waylay his plans. As the Roman legions advanced on the desert, they're on the Silk Road, they're trying to take over this spot. This king had his citizens holed up behind 45-foot-high perimeter walls. The defenders crafted earthenware bombs, like they made pots essentially, like these clay bomb pots, and filled them with scorpions. So when the other guy was trying to take it over, long story short, back in the old days, people threw bomb pots full of scorpions over the walls.
Yeah, imagine it's like those catapults, and they're just taking them and just putting scorpions all over the place. Awful.
Not great. Operation Sting and Fling in medieval times, they catapulted bees' nests. But my question for this is, who had to load these things? Cons, you're lucky you weren't artillery back then, because you would be very swollen.
Probably. I don't
Covered
do well
in bee
with
stings.
bugs.
They also filled the interior walls of medieval castles, were equipped with recesses termed bee holes. So if say you're breaking through the wall or whatever, you break through the wrong part, bees, motherfucker. They'd also, the navies use them. They would launch beehives onto the decks of other ships to clear them, which would work on me. Swear to God, I would jump
I'd
off.
be out of there lickety split.
I wouldn't think twice to jump off an aircraft carrier if I had a bee chasing me. Like,
no, you might get stuck. You might get bit by a shark. You're definitely going to get eviscerated by bees.
I'm just saying, say it was peacetime and I was in the Navy and I was on a flight crew, but there's no planes coming in. I'm just casually, I'm licking an ice cream cone, walking across the deck, and I'm having a nice day. And a bee
As they
comes,
do. Yeah.
Nobody ever sees me again. I jump off the deck. I'm like,
that's got to be the scariest thing ever, when you're just out there in the middle of nowhere ocean and you just jump off that deck.
And there's a bee.
Yeah, there's a bee. Yeah, that's super scary.
This is the boo box.
The Dead Army. And what was it called in Game of Thrones? The blue people. What were they called?
The blue man.
Never saw it.
The blue frozen
the blue
folks?
bees.
Army
Yeah,
of
they
the
actually had an army of ghost bees too, and they called those boobies.
Right.
Yes.
So Nasrullah Badar Khan, the 19th century Emir of Bukhara, present-day Uzbekistan,
Did so fucked up.
He would throw his enemies in a 21-foot deep hole covered with an iron grate, accessible only by a rope.
Let me just say before you keep going, just being put in a 21 foot deep hole, that stinks all by itself. So anything you do on top of that is horrible.
Yeah, basically then they would just dump bugs down into the pit. The foulest were assassin bugs and sheep ticks. Assassin bugs are inch-long, carnivorous, with a stout curved beak for piercing their prey. And normally they only eat other insects, but when there's no other food option, they just go right at the flesh of humans. And so that's what he would do. He would starve these bugs and then dump them down. And the bite of these insects has been compared to being stabbed with a hot needle. And their digestive enzymes that they inject liquefy the tissues of your flesh. So it's like a most horrific
But
thing.
how do you even get to this point where you know about these bugs and that they can do this? And then you think, you know what, let me go collect up a bunch of them and put people in a deep hole. Yeah.
Vietnam, during the Vietnam War, the Viet Cong they had the underground tunnels, and sometimes wasps and hornet nests were lobbed. If like whoever was the tunnel rat, whoever was the troop that had to go in the tunnel, that would get thrown down the tunnel at them. That's fucking nightmare fuel. They had Asian giant honeybees described as the most ferocious stinging insect on Earth. They would relocate the colonies and put them on trails that they knew the Americans used. And then they would put small explosive charges to like disrupt the nest while the Americans were walking through to like just totally fuck their day.
God.
Yeah, fucking crazy.
Maybe that's why Forrest said something bit me. Maybe he thought it was one of those fucking bees.
Well, the bee warfare during Vietnam was so bad that on the other side, the U.S. had a research program to spray the Vietnamese enemy with the alarm pheromone of these bees. So like whatever gets them all fucking hyped up, whatever that like queen bee pheromone is, they wanted to spray it all over the enemy's
whatever
territory.
bee monster is.
Yeah, exactly. This chemical signal would be like a cavalry bugle telling the bees to attack, but the weapon was never deployed. Interesting.
Goodness, because that seems like that would be a war crime too. Doesn't feel like that's what you can do.
I
will say some of the warfare laws are kind of bizarre. Like you can shoot somebody straight in the chest whenever it's authorized with like an M16 or an M4. You cannot do it with a 50 cal because that's not designed to kill humans.
Right.
Bizarre. Right? Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. Well, it kind of does.
It does, but it's still weird. Like you can't kill people that way. You can kill them this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
When you put it like that, yes, you're absolutely right. Like
that's too mean. That's a mean way. And
yeah,
honest
we
to
know
God,
you're going to be killing, but
if
do
you're
it
telling me I'm
nicely.
getting shot in the chest, give me the fucking 50 cal.
Absolutely.
I just want it to be over.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a complainer. I a little tired.
I mean, the worst thing is when you actually do get shot and then you talk about it forever and it gets on people's nerves.
Yeah, and you just
There
like bring
goes
everything
the-
back to that story. It's unbelievable.
Fucking ridiculous.
Oh,
All right,
got
let's move
shot. It
on
hurt.
to a
Owie.
little bit of safe rounds and alibis. Today, we'll start with you, Nicholas. What got?
Yeah, so two things quickly. So again, I've been saying it every episode, but thanks to everyone who's subscribing on YouTube. The numbers are going up. So appreciate everyone there. And secondly, on the topic of Valentine's Day, I just want to say this was like the first year in many that I was proactive, and I have 2 gifts coming to my wife already. I'm going to give her one ahead of time. So she already knows that I've done the work and I've been proactive
Oh.
rather than like the day before type deal. And the lack of anxiety I have is so dramatic, and it feels so amazing. Just take care of it ahead of time. So if you have the time, just get it done.
Yes.
So just wanted to put that out into the universe that I feel good about it.
You should.
I love it. As you
Catherine?
should. Right. 1-800-Flowers.
Mhm.
Already sent some to Pat's mom, getting ahead of the game. Okay, for Valentine's Day. And I also, this is my first Valentine's as a mom. So I wanted him to be the coolest kid in class. So I ordered Valentine's for his classmates that each come with a toy, finger puppet.
Cool.
So I'm gonna be the cool mom, and I'm sending teether crackers in for everyone with funny.
What are you
little
gonna do on
jokes.
show and tell when Cash wants to bring in the dryer?
That's a tough call. Yeah. Oh, yeah. My parents have a way better dryer. I was down there this weekend, and he just sat and watched. That has the glass you could see.
Whoa, that's a nice dryer.
That's a nice dryer.
Where'd you get this thing from? My God, that's a nice
Oh,
dryer.
that's a nice.
Yeah,
dryer.
guys, they got dryers.
Oh yeah. My only other note: subscribe, YouTube. You click, YouTube. You click, you watch, you YouTube.
Cons?
Yeah, Kate, do you have a Spotify page yet for all of these songs?
I'm not trying to get political. I'm not talking Spotify.
Oh, yeah,
today.
exactly right.
Forget it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Lots
hey,
of
thanks.
hullabaloo over there. Although
Oh, my.
Spotify is the superior podcast channel. If you're still on Apple, you got to move it on over.
Yeah,
Can I
Apple
say
went down
something?
the tubes. Yes.
Small, really quick. So I was trying to think of, because I try to do funny tweets based off like what's big happening. So all these comedians that I follow were talking about the Joe Rogan and Spotify and the discourse on all that. And so just to make a light funny joke, because I saw a lot of people too who like aren't really comedians but saying they're comedians, whatever. So I did this very stupid tweet that said, I see a lot of people claiming to be comedians adding their 2 cents on here. And it's cute they did an open mic once, but real comedian is something that's inside you. At the Lancaster Wyndham, after that show you went to alone at Stitches, right after your messy divorce. It's a joke about me getting fucked by a comedian. And I saw, now I wish, as I'm talking, I saw that my dad liked it. I don't think he got it. I think he thinks that I'm really saying something. I don't think he finished the second half of the tweet before he liked it. It was troubling to me to see that he liked it.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. It's good that we got that out there.
Sorry, thank you. I just needed to address that.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, just again, thank you to Channing, and Reid, my new besties. Love those guys.
Chanalana Ding Dong.
Seriously, like I totally think I totally see us spending the
Channing
holidays
Tatum
together.
Smith.
He's not listening, Cons. You don't have to be so gracious. You talked about you've talked about how great he was for longer than he was on the show.
For my
Yes,
save
well,
round, I
that's the
just
type
like
of
to
person
talk
I
to
am.
Channing Tatum for a moment. I know he's a listener.
Welcome back to ZBT in the
Channing.
year 2029. And I'd still want to thank Channing for that time that he came on.
He's gonna listen. He's gonna reach out. You guys wait and see. But credit to me for not correcting Chaps last week when he messed up the difference between the LA Coliseum and the Rose Bowl. That was big
Thank
of
you.
me not to
That
correct
was
him.
big
in
of
the
you.
moment.
I noticed it too.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question for you guys. Do you think we all, the three of us, would have liked each other when we were actually in the military?
Absolutely not. No.
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 I've thought about this.
I would
Chaps would've
fucking
hated
hate
me.
both of you.
Oh wow, both of us, not just me.
Chaps, no, Chaps, I think you would have, I don't think you would have hated me. I think you would have been like, oh, God damn it, she's screwing up again. This person's a real pain in the ass. But I don't think you would have hated me because I did
disagree.
I did try.
Look, knowing how I was then, if I'll say this, and it is weird now, like
This
how
is
different I am
upsetting.
now. If the Marine Corps wasn't essentially your life, I had no respect for you. Like,
Oh yeah,
and
no, you
that's
would've
just where I
hated me.
was at the time. Like, if
You would've hated me.
if it didn't consume you, and being a Marine didn't consume you, I wouldn't have. I mean, we were different in rank, so it's not like we would have been hanging out anyways. But I
no,
would
you
not
would-
have liked it.
No.
However, if we would have joined at the same time and we were lance corporals and corporals together, yes, I could have seen us being friends and getting along then. However, if I was your staff NCO and some of the stories I've heard of, no way. No shot.
Okay. That's fair. Cons, I think I would have liked you. I think because it seems like you weren't like a hardo. But I would also be suffering from mold disease in my barracks and watching you go to us with clubs in your trunk.
Going back to
golf.
yoga again.
And I'd say, dang, I like it, but sheesh.
Chaps, let's just role play this out really quick. Let's just say we were both at the same base for some reason, and I
Can I add to this role play?
Yeah.
You're both in fur costumes. Okay, go.
Okay.
No, but so I walk into some sort of joint exercise that the Marines and the Army are doing together, and I walk in. What is going through your mind when Captain Crehan walks in the door?
I don't know. I think I would have to see how you interacted with folks. One thing I do know that Army officers are a lot more involved, like direct hands-on, than Marine officers. So that would have drove me insane, like right away. Like it did here at Lackland. Honest to God, it was hard for me, like to get adjusted because I had like this fucking Air Force lieutenant that would ask me about what like my training plan was for the day. And I would always want to look at him like, it's none of your fucking business. Like what I'm doing with my folks. Like it was just it's just so different. I think like the world between what is required of a good staff NCO and the Marines is just so different. Like I think that's the biggest culture. One, because the Marine Corps is smaller. So naturally people at more junior ranks have to step up because we're so far under personnel. Like we just are. So it would be different. But I also enjoyed rubbing off on some of the other branches of service, like the Air Force dudes, whenever they would see how I would interact with like our command, they were like, damn, man, I wish we had it like that, where we don't have to fucking check in and do this all the time. And they would seem like they got micromanaged a lot. But I could see somebody that if I was an officer, I think it would be difficult for me not to be involved. Like if I put myself on the other foot, like if I would have switched over and if I was a Mustang, being a good staff NCO and switching over and becoming a second lieutenant has got to be one of the hardest transitions. Like I knew a dude that played rugby in college. He was huge, man. Like he was 6'7", probably 240, 250 for anyone that's big, but for somebody in the military, it's very big. You don't usually see folks
have
that
fun
are
in a
that
Humvee,
size.
pal. Yeah.
And he went from being a gunny. His name was Lieutenant Jensen. Actually, it just popped into my brain. So Lieutenant Jensen was an amazing, like I heard stories about him as a gunner sergeant that just blew my mind, like the things that he would do for his Marines. And then he came straight back to Okinawa as a second lieutenant and had to completely change who he was, like going from I'm going to be involved in everything. I'm going to know my Marines' names, their wives' names, their kids, all that stuff. And then second lieutenant, watching him perform as an officer the way that he wanted officers to perform as a gunny, I was like, damn, man, that shit would be rough.
Like he used to release them on Friday on time, and now he's got to hide out in his office for 3 hours for no reason and make them wait, get haircuts and That's tough.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, though, because you want to trust your NCOs and trust that they're going to do everything correctly. But at the same time, everything rolls up to you and you're ultimately responsible. So how do you not get involved? It really is very, very hard. And it's certainly hard in the beginning.
Fine balance for sure.
Yeah.
But so many people do it well, too. And I think it depends on how involved I would be. I would like to say how involved I would be as an officer depends on how competent the staff NCO was.
Yep.
I think that plays a huge part of it too, which is probably why I didn't have a lot of people bitching me out, because I was good at what I did. So I didn't need people in my shit.
Speak for yourself.
Exactly right, Kate. Thank you. My save round, some of the training standards have got to change. There's another story that came out about a Navy SEAL who was killed right after Hell Week during a training accident. And that, look, I know it's not kind and it's not nice and it's not pleasant to hear. Training accidents in the military happen, like they do. What we have to do is find ways to mitigate those types of risk where it's not happening more than it needs to. It never needs to happen, but it is. I mean, this is a dangerous job. Like being in the military is inherently dangerous. Training to be a Navy SEAL is inherently dangerous. Training to be a helicopter pilot, of any kind of pilot, a firefighter, all of those things are inherently dangerous. But if we're asking people to make these sacrifices with their bodies, it's our responsibility as the American public, and especially at the higher levels of DoD, that you have training evolutions in place and that they are as safe as absolutely possible. Obviously, no one involved in that school or that has ever been to that school would ever want something like that to happen. Our thoughts go out to all the families that are going to be struggling, because whether it happens in a combat zone or it happens in training or it happens just in the civilian population, losing somebody is always incredibly difficult. So our thoughts go out to all those families that are struggling this week, and all the families that are nervous, because we've talked about it a lot and sometimes it's been in jest, and we've covered what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. But if you're a family member that's sitting there and you're worried because it's the first time that your spouse or your significant other has traveled to a different area of the world to be ready in case rough men and women are ready to march to the sounds of the guns, we understand that you're nervous, and that's a totally understandable thing. And it's another reminder to go out and get mental health in the moment that you need it. Don't wait until your brain needs a root canal. Go get a cleaning. If you're feeling nervous, you're feeling apprehensive, talk to a professional. They're the ones that can help you. We'll see you next time. It's On the Retreat.